Yes, welcome to the Trump Republican Party Freak Show Caucus.
It's the journalists and the Democrats spinning the lies.
The Democrats, the rules don't apply to them.
Republicans all have to robotically repeat Trump's toxic wingnut bullpucky stew.
Tom, Christina, thank you very much for joining us for this civil conversation. Tom and Christina are married, so that will provide a little bit of extra dynamic here.
I think you're kind of forced to choose, I would say.
I think it's a big game. You know, the Republicans will, anything that the Democrats do, the Republicans will find a chess move to counter that. And after that chess move, the Democrats are doing the same thing back. It just seems like one big, I mean, guns or abortion or all these issues are used as strategies against the opposing side.
Why do you think he won in 2016?
I think he won because he was something new. People who normally didn't pay attention were like, who is this guy? You know, I mean, we're still talking about him.
Do you agree?
People equated his, make America great again, right? His slogan with going back in time to, segregation. I think he won because I think there were a lot of people that hoped that it would go back.
Do you think that the sort of increase in identity focus gave him an opening to pull some people into his camp who were otherwise wouldn't have voted for him?
Absolutely. He used the modern context to his advantage. And, say what you want about him. He's a piece of shit, if you ask me. But, I mean, smart piece of shit. On more of a macro level, it's not just Trump. It's the context that we're in with social media and a window into everybody's life. And, where somebody in the past could have gotten offended by something somebody said, now they can go on social media and post that they got offended and get 1 million followers to come along with them. Did I like Trump? No, I didn't. But is our president today doing anything great? Not really. I mean, they just seem like puppets. They just seem like one of the pawns in this big game of democracy in America.
Do your daughters, maybe one of them is too young, but do your daughters, do they identify as biracial or multiracial?
I think I could speak more to probably how they may feel, just because it was a big deal for me growing up. Like I said, having a white mom, she felt, I replay this one scenario all the time when, even today when I'm asked to fill out your race and marking the bubbles. And when I was little, there was no other box to check. You had to choose one. And I remember going to get a library card at the Pasadena library, and my mom was filling it out, and she didn't know which one to mark. And she was very upset. And I remember her thinking, she was like, oh, I can't. I think she even asked the woman, can I choose both? And I was like, no, you have to choose one. Now when I mark the box, I am able to mark every single box that for them.
So do you think there's any downside to all the box checking?
Well, again, I think like with politics, you're forced to choose. You're forced to, and you kind of then grapple with, that, or, who am I? What am I supposed to be? What does society want me to be? Am I supposed to be, if I mark this box, does this mean I have to act a certain way or be a certain
You ever thought about why they even ask? Why do they need to know?
Good question.
Why does the library need to know what
I don't know.
are?
Good question. I don't know why. I guess it shouldn't matter. We're all human, right? I don't think it should matter who you are, what you are, or what gender you identify with. I feel like that is your business. It's nobody else's business, and it shouldn't really, it shouldn't make a difference.
Do you think politics and politicians are making it a bigger difference than it otherwise would be, and or the media?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But for their gain.
I sense a theme.
I'm just saying, you know, you got these politicians who, you know, for a fact, they would never be, you know, affiliated, or they would never go to the restaurants in these towns. But when it's time to get votes, I hang out here all the time. Oh, some of my best friends live in this town. You liar. I mean, how stupid are we? So what are you saying? Are you saying they should regulate what's being said?
Absolutely.
I disagree entirely. Freedom of speech. I mean, people should be able to say whatever they want. That's the problem right now. You say the wrong thing, stones, you know, biblical stones are getting thrown at you. And that's not right. I think that freedom of speech should, I mean, look at these comedians. You know, I mean, there's not going to be comedy anymore. You're offending me. Don't say that ever again. It's bullshit.
I know what he's saying in terms of comedy, and we have become too sensitive to certain things. But at the same time, words can be hurtful, and I think like leave it into different, I guess, context. So comedy, that's fine, but I think in other situations, like them saying that this, you know, taking this pill will, you know, cure or keep you from getting COVID or whatnot, like that's a little far.
So you would let the platform shut that down, or at least label it?
Yes, like it would flag it. It's just too easy to come across certain things nowadays. There is no going and looking stuff up. It's our kids today. It's like, oh, I'm going to believe this because I want to believe this. Or
Do you trust the Twitter employees or the Facebook employees to do that moderation?
no, I don't think so. No, I don't. I don't think they're going. Again, I think they have their own agenda of what they're going to let pass. It's a woman's choice, and it's a bunch of men telling us what we can and can't do with our bodies, and they've never been in that position.
Do either of you think that the state has any obligation to a fetus at a certain number of weeks of age to protecting that life?
Yeah, I think if, you know, you have a pretty well-developed baby, okay, I don't know. I mean, that's a tough one.
Say past viability, it should not be okay.
So sort of as the fetus ages, it sort of gets more rights, but the line for choosing is viability.
Yeah, that's fine.
So what happens, like, say, 50 years from now if the line of viability is 6 weeks?
Well,
I think it's a woman's choice.
a lot of the time you don't know that you're pregnant at that time. You're just finding out. So any time past that, then it's not okay if you just found out that you're pregnant. If you're trying to get pregnant, you pretty much, it's like, oh my gosh, you know, you're checking all the time, right? It's in the forefront of your mind. But let's say, you know, a woman is raped, or, you know, something tragic, it happens. Like, if you don't know at that point, who are you to say, like, no, it's 6 weeks, like past your 6 weeks, you can't.
So
It's not fair.
So viability matters, and if it gets pushed to the left, meaning younger and younger and younger fetus is viable, that you get more and more uncomfortable when it's a viable child, but then it runs into something for you morally where if the woman doesn't even know, because I mean, let's say viability got pushed to 1 week.
No.
So it's those two things are in conflict for you, I guess is what I'm getting at.
God, you know, it is a living thing in there, you know, it is. But like you said, you know, if my daughter got raped and pregnant, she should have the right to say, you know, I didn't want this, you know, this was something terrible that happened to me. I want it, you know, I want this out of me.
Maybe a more difficult one would be you're pretty far along and you find out that the baby has serious birth defects.
Yeah.
I
didn't promise it was going to be easy.
that should be up to that family what they would like to do. So if they want to terminate the pregnancy, they should have that choice to do so.
But up to a certain amount of weeks, or just up till
See, that's where you
9
get
months
me
and 1
with.
day?
See, now it's like,
It's in the birth canal and it's a deformed baby.
well,
It's tough.
I would say I do not agree with late-term abortion whatsoever.
What do you define as late?
A late-term abortion is like you're actually giving birth and a woman wants to have terminate the pregnancy. I think that's wrong across the board, whether it's...
Right. There's some line
Yeah.
in terms of number of weeks, in terms of how close it is to 9 months and normal birth, where it just doesn't matter. It's too late.
Yes.
Do you think the Me Too movement went too far? Do you think it didn't go far enough? Where did it go wrong? And how does it play into our politics and the chances of the Democratic Party versus the Republican Party in future elections?
I think a woman can say anything she wants and you're guilty until proven innocent, right nowadays, even though it should be the other way around. You know, woman can say anything she wants and you'll get arrested before they find out what happened.
When you say arrested, you mean literally arrested if it's...
I mean, yeah, if it's something like that, or like at work, or yeah, fired, you know.
So, Christina, what do you think of his feeling that men are guilty until proven innocent?
I agree in a sense. Even being a woman, I will say the Me Too movement has gone a little extreme. I believe that women have been subject to some, sexism and harassment, and they should have a voice. But at the same time, I think there are a lot of women out there who have taken advantage of the movement. And so they can say anything nowadays, and it's very easy to accuse someone of something and have that person punished, I guess you could say, without there being any kind of, I guess the man doesn't have a voice in a sense of, it's just, oh, he's guilty. There is no, oh, well, how did this happen? Or tell us your side of the story. It's just, oh, well, he said this to me. Okay, you're fired. I don't feel there's a reason to
Talk about any sexuality.
Talk about that at school.
Yeah, go play with the blocks, I mean, kindergarten to third grade. As a parent, yeah, I'd be a little uneasy if my third grader came home and said, we talked about, certain sexes today. I would be like, I mean, you don't even do sex ed until I think 4th grade or 5th grade, right?
Yeah.
I mean.
So you're both in agreement that law is fine?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you think that that the Democratic Party, again, politically, is going to pay a price for being so strenuously opposed to that law?
It's funny because, again, I think, we say we're Democrats and we're being more conservative with certain things, especially like this as well.
But you vote Democrat, so like if you're a Democratic Party, you're going, well, these are my voters.
I think it will hurt. A lot of my friends, I would say, think the same way in terms of like it shouldn't be discussed.
I think that kids at that age, if parents want their kids to know about, sexual identity and genders and, that should be something they teach them in their home. It shouldn't be taught in a school. If that's the case, why do we wait to tell these young kids where babies come from? Yet now people want kindergartners to 3rd graders to know. I mean, it just seems it's a circus to me. It's a circus. First, you don't need a mask. Then everybody wear a mask. Because in the beginning it was like, you don't need one, don't worry. And I know this because I was making masks out of scarves in our house and you and your mother were laughing at me.
Yes.
And then it was, don't leave the house without a mask a couple of months later. Well, I was scared in the beginning. I'm not scared anymore. And COVID is still out there. It's a less, dangerous variant now. But I think that the politicians definitely used the fear of it to their advantage without question.
Both sides? Or
both sides. One? Both sides. Yeah. A scared society is a controllable society. Hands down.
Agree with that?
It did become political when I think it didn't need to be. I think, again, it was something else that our politicians could use to divide the country.